Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. I am sorry for my losing my composure in the last video. I really did have some very mental flashbacks to the pain and suffering caused from the last crisis. I've now picked it up, put it away, so it's out of my brain. We're going to talk about the important topic of the housing market. But first, let's welcome Dion from Dion Talk. How you doing, buddy?
Howdy, Mike. Thanks for having me here. I'm excited. I'm ready for round 4, and I promise not to break your brain this time.
Yes, please. No more of that. You get one of those a day. I don't want another one. That was a bad 8 or 9 minutes. I didn't feel good. What I want to talk about today is actually a question I haven't thought about before. I've been following the real estate market. I've talked about transactions and all of this stuff, but everybody always asks what articles, what websites I go to. The answer is I bounce all over. I read the left, I read the right, because I want to stay in the middle. Fool.com put out an interesting article this morning that I read. The title was, so you can go find it, "When will housing inventory return to pre-pandemic levels?" I think that's an interesting question. I'll give you the set of variables and then we can talk about it. So when they talk pre-pandemic, they're talking 2018 and 19. And by getting back, they mean active listings. So let's set the stage. Active listings averaged about 1.6 million active listings. And as in the article says, we're rough and tough about 1 million today. So the question was, when will we get back? And in their article, they talk about it being potentially 2.5 years from now, or sometime out in 2024. I actually think that is way off. But Dion, you've seen the article. What are some of your thoughts? And we'll dig in.
Well, my concern is that they make it sound like it would be a good thing to get back to pre-pandemic, 2018, 2019. At that point, for about 6 years, people had been screaming for a crash because prices were above 2008. Yeah. The crash or the correction has to come. It has to be right around the corner. Then we gave the world a pandemic to say, here's the reason for the crash. Then we had forbearance for everybody to say, all of this massive wave of foreclosures is going to be the reason for the crash or the correction. And it just, chronologically, there constantly seems to be this reason why the crash or correction is coming. So the good thing with this article is they were talking about rebuilding inventory.
Yeah.
Not saying when we rebuild inventory, prices will crash.
No, yep.
That was good.
Yep.
I like that they put it out at least till 2024. Mm-hmm. Last week we did a video on the guy who was saying 50% housing crash by the summer because of the inventory that's coming.
Yeah, not happening.
Right. So this article was a little more well thought out. Actually, while I was going through this article, I thought they were one rental at a time viewers.
Yeah,
People are trapped into low 30-year fixed rate debt, so they're not going to sell. So we don't have that inventory. People haven't been building. We don't have that inventory. I agree with you. I think they've undershot it by saying that it would be by 2024. I can't see, even if legislation changed and said, there is no permitting required to do builds. Like even if we made it that simple, I don't see us building enough inventory unless interest rates drop to 0 or below. I don't see reasons for people to move or buy up or be, the move up buyer. So I'm projecting by the time we get inventory back to over 1.6 million, it's going to take longer than that because the demand is still here. Yeah. You nailed it a couple months ago where you clarified we don't have a supply issue.
Yeah,
we have a demand issue.
Correct.
We had over 6 million transactions last year. That's on track with the year before. So the supply is there. It's just there's so many hungry people scooping up everything that becomes available.
Yeah, that
I don't see inventory increasing because as things come on the market, they're still being taken off.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually think we get to 1.6 million active listings before the summer of next year. Let me explain. The thing about an active listing is it's not a transaction. It doesn't mean a sale will happen. There are lots of people listing homes today at what I call wish pricing. If it sells at my number, I'm out. I believe we're going to have more and more people doing that in the spring housing market, which has just started. We'll have more people doing that in the summer. But as we are seeing, not only are we going to have supply destruction, but we will have real demand destruction. So I actually think And because the listings are typically signed up for 90 to 180 days, 3 to 6 months, we will see a wave of overpriced listings that may eventually have one price drop that will ultimately be taken off the market and the owner will keep it. But given that duration and window of lack of activity, I think we get back to 1.6 million active listings pretty quick. I think we could be there inside 10 months, right? If we are truly at 1 million today, which I have not verified, that's just what the article said. I think we could possibly get there in 6 or 7 months. But again, active listings do not equal transactions. I believe we had 6.9 million transactions last year, 600K rough and tough new builds, 606.3 million existing. I believe closed transactions will be barely over 5 million this year. That's a almost 30% drop. I think we'll have plenty of listings, but plenty of listings does not equal good prices. What do you think of all that?
Well, I think we're seeing that. I've talked a couple times about the offers that I have out where they didn't accept my offer where it made sense. They have their wish number up there, but no one else is paying that wish number. We're probably going to see those sit, and then they're going to probably take them off. I don't think they'll drop to the number that makes sense because they're not a motivated seller.
Yeah. And what we're going to see is more of these wish numbers come on and it will just age out. So it will, you got to be very careful with housing and real estate. It will feel like the market is turning. It will be 30% wish numbers. And that 30% will fall off every night. Some of them will fall off at 90 days. Some will fall off at 6 months. The owners will just take them back and they go, you don't understand. My house is special and it's so unique and I just love it. I'm not selling. But it's going to sit there as listings pile up and pile up. And that's why investors, get your pencils ready. Do the work. Do what Dion did. 1.3 list makes sense at 1.1. Sits for a while. They ask for best and final. Guess what? 1.1. 30 days go by. They ask again. 1.1. At some point, the owner's going to say, you know what? We're already mentally checked out. We'll take 1.1 because it's the only offer we have. Or they'll say, my house is special. Dion doesn't understand. I'm going to keep it. Either way, that's where we're going.
Yeah, what's actually going to happen there is interest rates are going to go up, and then I'm going to tell them my price dropped.
Exactly.
But yeah. The thing that I don't like about the transaction crash, like the drop of over 20% that's coming, is it's going to give ammunition to the channels that talk about a housing crash. They're not going to differentiate between this 20% reduction in transactions. They're just going to blanket say, there was a 25% housing crash this summer. We predicted it. We were right. But prices won't be going down. They won't be going up to wish levels, but they're not going to be going down. Yeah,
none of these channels that talk. I mean, here's the deal, right? We have this 52 spreadsheet, which we may bring up in video 3 or 4, whatever we're on. I forgot where I was going. They talked about housing crash in 2020. Here's the truth about 2020. And we told you 2020 was the best year in the last 50 years to buy a home. Most affordable. Anybody talking about a housing crash in 2020 should be an immediate unfollow. Immediate. It was mathematically the most affordable market to buy a home. And I told you it was the most affordable. Either you believed me and you did the math or you didn't. If you believed me, you're thanking me. If you believed them, send them a note.
No, I'm definitely thanking you. And at the beginning of 2020, I had just closed on a fourplex, and then the pandemic happened and everything was shut down, and prices were still going up. And the YouTube content that I had seen said, there's a crash coming, there's a correction coming, don't buy. And then this one channel, one rental at a time that I watched, was talking about how interest rates went down. So of my deals, almost every single one has gotten me a 10 to a 12% cash on cash return year one. Because I was watching your channel in November of 2020, I bought a triplex because rates had come down. I hadn't been factoring that in. I had been factoring, run the numbers. So I say thanks, because that deal for year one was a 17% cash on cash return because it was the best year to buy. Rents were going up. People weren't expecting that during a pandemic, and interest rates were record low. I refinanced 2 properties in that year or 2 at the same time. That's what made me realize I could have paid $50,000 more for the properties that I had and got the same cash flow.
Exactly.
So thank you.
Awesome. Well, thanks. This has been a lot of fun. Again, I actually think inventory is going to rise a lot faster than people think, but a rising inventory with a bunch of wish numbers doesn't mean transactions. Transactions are crashing, folks. I don't have any good news for you. If you're a real estate agent, mortgage broker, get a side hustle, become an investor. It's going to be a rough couple of years. If you survive, which I hope all of you do, it will be time to thrive because the market will come back stronger with less competition. But yeah, it's going to be, it might feel like a depression for real estate agents and mortgage brokers, but investors, get your pencils ready. Follow Dion's example, do the work, know what numbers make sense, and confidently write that 1-1 offer on a 1-3 property as an example. How can they find you?
They can find me right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom. And I totally agree. I don't think inventory that makes sense to buy is going to go up very fast.
Correct. But inventory will go up because it's full of wish numbers. Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Ciao.